Welcome back. Now today, rather than chucking new functionality or a new clue type at you, I thought I'd talk about a really handy tip that can be a good way to start sort of breaking into clues. And it's to do with single letters. Now if you see a single letter in a clue, and you know that everything in a clue has a function, everything is there for a reason, and you know how crossword clues are written in that sort of newspaper headline style, so man drives past window in town, not a man, a window. It's always slightly clipped. The grammatical structure is very strange. So single letters are a sort of bit of a flag. They usually have a very specific purpose, and they also break one of the fundamental rules. Now, I'll show you a quick example. Not to vote is a black mark. 7 letters, not to vote is a black mark. Now, as I was saying, crossword clues written in that really strange style, not to vote is black mark would be the normal way of writing that clue, unless the A was necessary for some reason. It's not a grammatical courtesy, it's not that a black mark sounds a bit better than black mark. It's there because it's part of the answer. And you know that everything has to function, so it has to have a specific role. And single letters, and very rarely 2-letter words, but usually single letters, do something that nothing else ever does, which is they can substitute for themselves. So you will never see a word in both the clue and the answer, not a word of any length, and no derivation of it either, so no variation. If the word defend is in the clue, defender or defending or defence is not going to be the answer, because they are completely exclusive. It wouldn't be particularly cryptic if you just had to read the clue and stick one of the words in the box, and you could train a chimp to do that. So everything has to have a purpose, and single letters can break that rule, can be themselves. But even when they're not substituting for themselves, they are a bit of a flag. So because there's no reason for it to be there, it's almost certainly the wordplay. Certainly if black mark was the definition, it wouldn't have the A. It would be black mark or mark. It would never be a mark. It will not be your definition. So this A has to have a reason, and it's most likely part of the wordplay rather than the definition into the clue, which is exactly what it is. So I'll break this down quite quickly. The definition is on this side, not to vote. And then you've got is, that's your equal side, a black mark. And you think, conceivably, a black could be distinct from mark, like that. And then a black could be jet, a word for black, a word that's commonly used in place of black, or as a type of black in a sense. So you can consider that possibility, and you can start with jet, think of something for mark, try and work for look for a word that means not to vote. But actually, the A is doing the thing that only single letters do. It's being itself. The black is B, and mark, synonym for mark, is stain. So it's straight substitution from then on. And this is quite a sort of simple substitution clue, but the A is itself. So that gives you abstain. A, B, stain. Black is B, I'm fairly sure, because of pencils. On the back of pencils you have H, HB, double B. I think if you have a full set of art pencils, then you'll have enormous variations in terms of the severity of the darkness of the lead and the firmness of the lead in the pencil, or the graphite, or whatever's in pencils these days. So yeah, that black is that B because of that. Mark, stain, straight substitution, but the A is doing something quite unusual. It's being itself in the answer. But you just have to think of them generally as a flag for likely wordplay, because single letters don't really have a purpose otherwise. I'll show you another quick example. Prisoner, I suspect, removing a tree. 7 letters. Prisoner, I suspect, removing a tree. Now you've got 2 single letters here, and they both should start flagging things up, because you know they're going to have a purpose. You know there's no reason for it. Removing tree would read perfectly well in terms of how a clue could be written. Removing tree would be fine. Prisoner, comma, suspect. There's many ways of writing this. Prisoner as suspect removing a tree. But it could be done that way. So that has a distinct purpose. That has a distinct purpose. They've been put there for a reason, and you know they're probably part of the wordplay. So then you start breaking it down. There's no obvious equal sign in this one, but I'll tell you simply that the definition is here. It's a tree, a word for tree, a type of tree, something like that. And then you work back from the other end, checking out what your single letters are doing. Prisoner is very commonly con, as in convict, ex-con. The I, because once again there's no reason for it to be there, prisoner, suspect, that would be fine. I suspect is no different from suspect or suspect. Remember to take it out of context and look at it any way you could say it, not as part of the sentence. So the I substitutes for itself. In this case, suspect is a verb. Fear, removing a, fur, conifer, 7 letters. So when you say removing a, when you see that, you know that you're going to take an a out of a word, which means something else must give you that a to take it out. So then you have to think, that guides your thinking in this word. So you think suspect, suspect, I suspect, I fear that, something. That's where your a is coming from, then you can take it out. And to be honest, if you've got con ear and you're looking for a 7-letter word for tree, you're probably going to get to conifer fairly quickly. But the point of those two is, keep an eye out for the single letters. A and I most commonly, O sometimes, in a sort of exclamatory sense. But they are a good indication of where the wordplay and the definition might split, where the wordplay is going to be. And they are usually a nice easy way to at least get a single letter that you can start to build your thinking for the rest of the clue around. So you see that, you know you're going to be doing something with an A. You see this, you know it could be a word that starts with A, and it just helps put you down a certain path. So yeah, keep an eye out for all the single letters, and happy solving.